What a fitting intro, and we're talking technology today. you know, the transition between the intro and the video. Still haven't got that perfectly timed together yet. I'll get it there. So, welcome to the show. This is another Tuesday night. It's September 28th. We're already in October of 2021. Welcome. Another Tuesday where we talk all about marketing, all about everything that have to do with growing your business in a heart-centered, authentic way. That's what this is all about. Thank you for being live. Thank you for being here on replay. If you're on either of them, we'd love to know if you can just put in hashtag live if you're here live or hashtag replay. Then I know who's showing up, and maybe I can give you a props, which I know I will. Thank you for being here. I want to bring in my good buddy Scott, as always, here. There he is. He was in the blue room. Is it still blue? Yeah, one of these days. Are you ever going to change the blue?
Paradise sky blue is my thing, Joey.
Is it? Yeah, I love it.
It's the closest thing to having the ocean and the sky right behind me, and that will be the next. Then the background will be the ocean.
Exactly. I love it, man. Love it, love it, love it. I think you're going to really love this topic because I know how you feel about technology. We talked a little bit about it offline and sometimes in our masterminds, and that how you don't really focus a lot on your phone and all this stuff. So this is going to be a really interesting conversation because there's a lot of points here. I made some notes that I want to try and get to today in
Good
this
context
of the technology. So we'll try and do that as much as possible because I know we love to get on tangents and go through these rabbit holes. We never know how it's going to end up. Never. But I do have some notes here. But basically, this whole thing about how technology is, I have a love-hate relationship with it. And for me, I love technology. I love automation. I love everything about those aspects of it. And the problem is that it's the technology in terms of the marketing I don't like, where it's interrupting the human element of it. And that's kind of where this whole conversation I'm pointing toward, hopefully where we're going with this. I'll leave it there. Just what are your first thoughts on that? And then we'll kind of get into it. Thank you, by the way. I don't know who this is. I'm the Facebook user, but thank you for being here. And Kay's here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to take 4 words you said, which kind of summed up, I think, where we're going. Interrupting the human element or interrupting the human relationship, interrupting the human connection, interrupting the dream client connection. It's all related. It all comes to that. There's so much bright, shiny objectness out there that you and I constantly see it. Well, how do I give a partial access to this person and in this many days it can enable them to do this, and then this happens here, and the flying monkey comes down, and then the thing, what is it, the Greenberg or Gatzenberg thingy, the thing drops and rolls down the hill and hits the thing, and it causes almost like the game Mousetrap years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many things that have to be plugged in. And it does take away from the human element. And thank you, Collie. Thank you so much. It's getting in the way, Joey. And the next greatest, the app that does this, that helps you do this, and it's taking them further away from the human connection, which is what Dream Client Connection and Atlas and heart-centeredness is about, is not furthering the distance between us using technology, but closing the gap to
and you did an excellent way of describing what the next point here is I want to make is that technology has closed the gap between questions and answers, because what do you do as soon as you have a question? You go to Google. Google it, right? And there's this gap or this void between sitting down with the old pen pad, right, sitting down with this and thinking about it and writing some stuff down. And I'm totally guilty. I'm not blaming anybody else. But I
No,
still have a whole bunch of these notes that I take,
sure.
right? But it's like, well, if I want to find an answer on my dream client or what the market wants and all this other stuff, I'm going to go Google it. And you know that this is kind of the love-hate relationship that I have, because I teach a lot of that. There is so much gold where you can go here and find that, copy and paste, become that copy person and put it into a copy bank and all this stuff. Um, but I just find that at least 75% of the market is totally relying on data. And it's there's a point where we need to rely on data. But look at what happened when the Pixel came out, and it was like amazing. Wow, I can track everything, what people are doing when they go to the thank you page and all this stuff. And then it blew up. And then Apple said, we're not allowing you to track anymore. And the whole market freaks out. It's like it's Armageddon. Why?
Huh.
Because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening with, and to me, it just blew me away. I'm like, my God, are you that disconnected from what you're doing to rely so much on a Pixel?
Yes, Joey is the answer. The formulas that got created were, and we'll hear this for years to come. I have to run Facebook ads to drive this number of cold traffic to my lead magnet, to get them to opt in, to convert them to the next step in the purchase, the first small purchase, the impulse buy, to then get them to the next step and to the next step. And I see, and I'm going to disagree with what you said. I don't think you're guilty of it, Joey, because you use the technology to get closer to people,
Right,
not to get further away. You're not using the technology to get your Joey bot that
right,
goes in and crawls through social groups and has conversations with people as a bot.
right.
You're doing it so that you can attract the dream client, live your dream life, and help more people by attracting them to you by using the technology.
Well, that's the biggest point. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, that's one of the points I want to talk about too. Like, we'll come full circle with all these things, but you're right. Like, I love technology in that aspect of it, where I'm utilizing it to have conversations with human beings, one-on-one conversations. I don't wait for a bot to have the first three intro things, and then it bings me and says, "Hey, by the way, you've got a hot lead. Oh, okay, let me jump in now and have the conversation." BS. No, it's me. You have a friend request to me. It's me saying, "Hey, Scott, how you doing? How's it going? What's happening? Like, tell me more about your whatever." It's a conversation that I am having, and that is, that the where I've come
Yeah,
from the technology world of automating and trying to do as much as possible in the 3 emails a day. Then if they don't buy, they don't click this, they go to this other automation thingy and try to get them through another funnel and whatever. And it never really worked for me, even though I could program the heck out of Active Campaign, ConvertKit, Keep, you name it, Kajabi. It's part of what I do. I
yeah,
love that stuff. But I found it wasn't working for me, first of all. But it's not just the technology part of it, but the technology made me lazy. It was like, well, whatever, let the automation do its work.
right.
Let that do its work. And then, as soon as I pulled out of that and said, forget it, I'm going to rip everything apart and not even do a sales page or a funnel or a webinar or a thingy, and have no technology basically unless for the bare minimum, if I can speak right, the bare minimum of having one or two email conversations and then saying, here, go over here and check this out. If you like
Right.
it, join us.
Mhm.
And I just realized that just by looking at this and looking at the topic for tonight, thinking that, holy cow, like, there's really no technology involved with this. And the people that I have conversations with that join Atlas or Right Marketing Copy, whatever it is, one of the biggest things that come up with, 75% of them, even more than that, is two words, tech overwhelm. They're
Yeah,
in tech overwhelm. And I find myself having the conversation of saying, well, don't worry about it, because if you join Atlas, then I'm going to take 96% of all that away from you. And they're like, oh my God, it's like I'm a god. I can't believe that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Thoughtful.
I've watched you build this and do it and create it, and I enjoy modeling it. When I'm doing something, I'm like, okay, how do I make this simpler, easier with less steps? We've always done that with copy.
Right.
But even now, it's like I look at the JV Zoo world, which is where I kind of had my initiation into the video creation and media creation space.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I, of course, look at all their emails. I want to see who's doing what and see if there's anything worth modeling or borrowing. And they haven't changed the 27 pages of scroll down in the VSL. And I've gone so far to the other direction that it's like, here's the block on the page that tells you everything you got to know, and here's the video that tells you. And if you want to get it from that standpoint, there's nothing going on. Now, granted, I am a firm believer, and I'll go up against anyone to say that short of the human element, a video is the next best thing to convey a message.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm using video to create that connection even quicker so that somebody will do business with you because it conveys the message. But all the other things, yes, Joey, I love automations. And yes, if you like Text Drops, one of my products, I might, and you buy it, I'm going to probably say, hey, we've got these two other things that were created for it that will help make your life easier and better that you could have. That to me is an automation that makes sense for the user. But then to put them into the next automated product launch sequence from that into here, and then I got to make sure they go here. And if they do that, and then this trigger, it goes here, it gets so far away from the human element, the human connection.
Yeah, and a lot of the people, as you know, you're in Dream Client Connection, so you're seeing the conversations that are going on there and what they're asking, and you know that a lot of the questions are, how do I find out about my dream client or whatever? And yes, the first points are like, hey, the conversations are happening over here. Go listen in, copy and paste, and kind of read through those. That's fine. But I also find that I'm doing a disservice to people if I don't tell them that if you have to disconnect from technology to a point, because you're missing, what's the word I'm looking for? You're missing the middle pieces of a conversation. You're not noticing enough. Like when you're when you have templates or frameworks or something like that, it's about plug and play, here, copy paste, and that's fine to save time or whatever. But there's also this other piece that is the middle that I find people are missing. So like within Atlas or something, that I know we haven't taught it in Dream Client Connection, but there's one part of it where there's a chat, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it a template. It's more of a framework. It's questions here and there, and like, how do you have these kind of responses? And I always tell them, do not use this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing. And I'm trying to get the point across of, when you ask a question, I don't care if you have it in a doc and you copy and paste the question, because you might have multiple conversations going on at one time. And you don't want to keep on typing. That's totally cool. But it's in between those questions that matter. And that's where I think the technology, even though it's not really, I guess it's technology, it's still copy and paste, but we're losing that element of noticing. Like, what is the person actually saying, right? It's like when you have a conversation, you're just waiting for the dude to shut up.
Yeah.
Because you want to say your thing.
Exactly. I've talked about, I like going 21 levels deep with people. I need to go and pair it constantly. I can't do that with a survey or an assessment, because if you answer, and in the way you answer,
yeah,
then I got the next question, and then it leads me to somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else. And as you do that with real live human beings, and to this day and age, that's what I'm doing right now again, and preparing to launch another software and another product. I'm going out and talking to people. I'm looking at my beta users. I'm getting on calls with them. I'm asking them, what are they going through? What are they experiencing? And why is that a problem? And just constantly, I'm not relying on chats or things. Even groups are good, but then I got to get to the source. I got to get to the dream client, to the human being, so that I can really go deep in and say, well, tell me, how is that really a problem for you? Rather than me surmising, okay, I got the pain, I got the problem, I got the solution, I got all the stuff. Let me really go into each different level of user and say, what's going on with you? What are the challenges you're facing? So that I can hear it. And what happens, Joey, it's new to a lot of people because they've so relied on the technology to do it for them, and then things don't work. And what happens is, it's like any journey in knowledge, wisdom, education. Once you start realizing that the automation and the technology is not going to get you closer, and that actually interacting with live human beings is going to get you exactly what you need for everything you need and your dream client, it then becomes a part of you. And now it's almost like a superpower to be able to connect with people. I mean, that's the result of dream client connection, is the mindset. It's not like when some people come in and go, okay, where's the things and the stuff that's going to enable me to do this? No, it's you that becomes superpowered. Yeah.
You're right. You know, one of the gifts that you and I both have is the ability to read someone within seconds.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody else doesn't have that ability to that degree of that quick, but I think that everybody can read a conversation pretty quickly if you're in a regular conversation. And the artificial intelligence trying to emulate human conversation or even copy or whatever, it just blows my mind. It'll never get there because it can't. You can have this prediction as much as you want, even if you had the billion questions that we can come up with. I'm sure you and I can create a 5-question survey on what is the biggest challenge you're having with X, and we can probably guess what people are going to say. Okay, but that still is not the connection, because there's a point sometimes on question number 2 that they may say something that is leading to this person needs to say more. There's something hidden there that they're not saying, and you can't have that with thank you very much for that. Question number 3 is, are you kidding me? It's kind of like when you go, it's kind of like when you have the technology bots.
For 5 points is
it's kind of like when you have the technology bots, and it just drives me insane when you go to like what do you call it, the support system, and you're like, hi, I'm having trouble with my email. Hi, I understand you're having trouble with the email. Yeah, I get it. And you know it's the frickin' bot that you got to go through till you get to the 5th or 6th thing that the real person comes on. I'm like, Jesus, you know, that frustrates the hell out of me. And that is not connection. I don't care how great the support is after the fact, but it's the beginning part of it that they're trying to save time so they could be having many chats all over the place to say, well, hey, do I really need to speak to this person? Because if they get to number 3 and they answer a question that the frequently asked question database has, I'll just send them over there. You know what I mean? It just the whole technology part of that. It's kind of like, but we're used to it and we're putting up with it. But imagine how many times have you called a company and you still have to go through the prompts and go through all this crap, and it's lost that part of it. But we're now allowing it to happen in our digital world.
Yeah. See, I will not accept that. Never. I don't want to wait on lines. I don't want to be put on hold. I had a great experience with AT&T a few weeks back. I think I may have shared with you. And I called AT&T headquarters. I wanted to tell them how amazing their employee was in one of their stores. And there was no way to get to tell somebody how amazing a human being was. I chose the option for human resources. And when I pushed the button, it said, sorry, this number is no longer in service. AT&T corporate headquarters. I'm like, really? Come on. Human beings are not formulaic. So you cannot use templates and formulas to build deep relationships. That should be put on a slide with a quote with Kay's name under it. That is, Joey, put that in the group, or Kay, put it in the group, please. That is really powerful, good.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Kay. It's a wonderful gift once you realize not everyone has it.
Yeah,
Everyone has it, Daniel. This is what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
You all have it. It's because we haven't tapped into it, or if you don't have the ability, like Scott and I, where it's kind of a superpower, it just happens naturally.
yeah.
That's a gift, but I think everybody still has the ability to be present in a conversation and engage with it and not wait for your turn to talk. Like that's the whole thing. It's I'm not the best person to talk about relationship stuff
Joey,
in the real world, because I never really did any of that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But I think that everybody can have a real conversation and know how to read somebody, or how to read the room, as you as we would call it in the speaking world, right?
Well, and Joey, with the Dale Carnegie organization, which in my belief, my opinion, we should teach our children how to read, write, add, subtract, multiply, speak in front of a group of people, and take the Dale Carnegie course. And the Dale Carnegie course in human relations is based all about how do you build effective relationships with other human beings. And it starts with the self-confidence piece, and then it's about effectively communicating with others. And one of the pieces they share is we were born with twice the amount of ears than mouths for a reason.
Right.
And they teach conversation stacks, which are amazing, where you remember, if you're going to meet somebody, how to ask questions about them, become genuinely interested in their lives, their everything about them. And it's easy to learn that. It's not a difficult skill. We are all born to ask questions and listen to answers, because you're right, Joey. People are waiting for their turn to speak, as
Right.
opposed to, what if you went to a gathering and you said nothing, basically, but you talk to people and you ask them questions. Well, what do you do and how long have you been doing that? It's interesting. And how do you get involved in it? What kind of hobbies and that really? Oh, and what kind of challenges, this and that, that's interesting. Could you tell me more about this, that, and the other? I already know what I'm going to say. You know what you're going to say. I don't have to say much unless I need to say much. And to develop that skill, it really is just ask questions and become genuinely interested in your dream client. They're going to tell you everything you need to know to help them, not to manipulate them, but to help them.
Yeah, and going to that point there about, going into a conversation and not waiting for your turn to talk or whatever, that relates to what we're doing, even if you want to extend it out into the sales process, right? Is when
Mhm.
we talk about their timeline. So it's about their journey. It's about, you send a couple of emails or whatever it is, and you might have an offer or something, and they don't take it. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And you're waiting for them to put up their hand later on. It's not like you're waiting, "Oh, did you open my email? Well, hey man, now I've got this thing that you got to go buy." So it extends. Like, if you kind of see the parallel between what we're talking about here and that whole push, persuade, and poke, and all that stuff to try to get somebody to buy, it all relates to the human conversation. Is like, just let somebody go through a natural journey with you, a conversation, right? Even
Mhm.
when it's in a sales process. I don't know who this is, but I know the AI for sure. It's crazy how the AI is just
Joey,
unreal.
I told, hi, Angel, and hi, other person. Joey, you know that I told you one of my creators got Jarvis,
Yeah,
and we were engaging in a project to play with Fast Track Creator and making some scripts for videos. And I told you the stuff it spit out, it took me longer to fix it and try and figure it out than it would have to sit down and write the AIDA myself. And
you
they were
know what
like,
the funny thing is, when you look at the AI, it's like it's based on all these. Well, the copy of the AI for sure is like based on the best templates, the proven formulas, and all this other stuff. And to me, all it's doing is spitting out a collection and template or exchange of words. It's not a conversation. It's like, it's just an exchange of words. Here you go. Here's a couple of words that's been used before.
yeah,
I'm going to throw it into your thing, and there you go. That to me is not a conversation or marketing copy at all. Even though it is quote unquote copy or proven stuff, it's really just here's a whole bunch of words that worked before.
But Joey, there are ads on Facebook that says my AI copy will beat your copy hands down or your money back.
Until everybody uses the same AI thingy that is spitting out the same, right?
But no, it's the collective, Joey, and everybody's contributing. So it's growing in its intelligence to be able to help me write better copy, to convert more Facebook views and ads and clicks and conversions to get them into my funnel so that I can send them to my Slack adjuster. And then I can just automate the whole thing and not do anything.
And that's the point. That's the point, is how do I use technology to step away from having more communication or human conversations? Yeah. How do I make my life less where I have to deal with any of these people in the world? To me, it's like, that is the total opposite of what dream clients are. That's the total opposite of, that's why you're struggling to get sales, you know, and I've proven it. You've seen me prove it. And all it is taking, well, how do I have one-on-one conversations with people and give them what they want? And you do that by having conversations, not by putting them through any automations or fancy tech or anything like this. Christy, our colleague says, it all comes down to that, Scott, and that is caring enough to listen to hear what another has to say and being present while they're speaking. That's absolutely true. That's exactly right. Be present.
That's an excellent point, being present while they're speaking. Some people are going to need to learn and practice being present because as we talked about, the natural tendency is, okay, brain, get ready. What are you going to say? Like we said, you don't have to think about what you're going to say. It's already there. And if you forgot about saying and just listening and yes, caring, being interested genuinely in people, then
because you can feed off of the other person's whatever they've just said.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things, I took Dale Carnegie stuff before too, and I remember that, I think it was that course. I forget which one it was. I have them all, and I forget which one it was, but it was where when you go into the conversation or to a place to engage with people and you're asking questions and you say nothing and then you leave, that person will say, that was like the best conversation I ever had. And you said nothing. All you did was let the person talk. And because they talk, you just ask a couple questions. When you leave, they're like, wow, that was an amazing conversation with Scott. He's like the best person ever. What a conversation. Meanwhile, you didn't do any conversation at all. And it was like, wow. And that's so true.
It's the Dale Carnegie training. And I know it to be fact because I was seeing a gal named Melissa and we went to this party. I knew no one. We were there a few hours. At the end of the day, everyone was going, who was that guy? What an amazing conversation. We had such a great time. Who was he? Because I never, even if they asked me a question, I would just turn it back around because I truly wanted to learn about people. I wasn't there to tell them how great I was or what I did because it's really not important. And it's fun. And I told you that I had a champion in the Marriott organization who basically took me throughout the whole organization to do a lot of training and programs and seminars. And he says, Scott, you've got this ability to woo people, win others over, woo. I said, it's not that. It's just what we're talking about. There was no technology that could have wooed an entire company, organization. It was that you listen. It's not that difficult. If you actually listen to what human beings are telling you and not trying to use the technology to deliver the promised result of, oh, we'll find out everything you need to know to build your funnel and your click thingy and your automated stuff. Granted, we need to use the automated emails because we're not going to sit here and put each person's name into an email client. We have to use. You use
to a degree.
Email brilliantly, Joey. You use it to connect. I know what's going on in your life, and when I read your emails, I see it's something we've been talking about or something you've been talking about. That's a value that people are like, this is good. It's not everything else we see that's so automated to death.
Right. You know, it's funny you talk about the email because last week, I think it was last week or whatever, I got a reply to an email and the person said, what did they say? It's something like, knowing you, I know this is not an automated email, because I asked a question. It was like a follow-up question or something like that. Knowing you, this is not an automated email, and here's the answer to this thing. And that blew my, it's not the only one I've gotten, but that again proves to what we're talking about here, because people know, they know that I've got automations and things going on, but they also know, or my tribe at least knows, that I am there responding to their messages, to their
Yeah.
emails. It's not someone else, it's me, or one or two emails. They don't know if it's automated or not automated. And that to me is, I'm proud of that. I'm very grateful that they understand that, and they see that I care enough to take the time to do that. And when I get a response like that, then I know that other people feel the same way. Because like when somebody gives you a positive response, there's 100 others who are thinking the same thing, who just haven't reached out and said it. And to me, that says a lot about what we're talking about here. Because automation is awesome, but it's how you use it. I'll give you an example where, if somebody downloads, I've been testing this out, where somebody downloads my new thing, I want to know more about them. I could easily automate that, but I don't. I have my intro thing, so I don't have to type it, and I copy it and I put it into my personal email and I send it. And I wait for a response. And if they respond, I have a conversation that could easily be automated. But I don't, because I want to test to see what is happening and how to get that kind of response. Now, eventually, if that thing blows up, that'll be all automated or whatever, but it's a different feel for that person.
Yeah, I agree. You and I have had the conversation about this thingy, this device, and somebody the other day was, I just got the Apple something or other something. And I said, well, I could call you on my phone and you could call me and we're all good, because I don't need another app to do something that's just not me. I'm not saying they're not. I'm seeing so much of the world into these devices, and the humanness is just, it's been happening for years. It's just getting worse. It's not.
Yeah, it's a disconnect.
And for us,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean, bro. Is like we're connected to these to find the answer.
Right.
We all do it. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just as guilty. But I do know that you and I both still do reflection as well. We still have our time in the morning. For me, it's morning. You all know the whole thing. And for you, whatever it is, we still have those moments where the phone is not with me. It's shut off, or have focus times and all that. It's not interrupting me. It's not distracting me. But the world, most of it is connected only to that, because what did the Facebook pixel say? What did my bot say? How many things do I got to respond to? All these other things, right? And to me, it's a total disconnect.
It is. The ringer on my phone has not been on for, I think, 10 years. Because most people allow the world to interrupt them.
Yeah.
They allow a text or an email or a phone call to interrupt what they're doing, as though somebody has the right to interrupt you from your genius, from your bliss, from your joy, because they happen to want to text you or call you.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with it, for me. And that's part of, let's go talk about Dream Client Superpower. If somebody wants to text me, I'm like, no, you can catch me between these hours by email or messenger. We can have a phone conversation when we schedule it, not just it's your time in the mornings. It's your time. That's it. If somebody wants to do business with you at 8:30 in the morning, that's not going to happen.
No,
that's not you, and it shouldn't be. Kay is saying natural conversations, the give and take is so important, but most salespeople are forcing their conversations with their agendas. Exactly.
Right on. I love that. The other person is Monica Murphy. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Angel.
Monica with the AI StreamYard has my permission. Don't know why it isn't showing. All good. Now we know who you are.
I know
Thank you.
why. It's the technology, Joey. It's
See, the technology is not
separating
agreeing.
Monica from us.
The human quality is there in the way that you connect with us, Joey, in the emails. Thank you. Thank you for that. Collie, it is not called the iPhone for no reason. It's becoming all about the I. Yep. Fear of missing out. Yep. The Ragona emails. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's so true. One thing I wanted to talk about was
Where are we on the list, Joey?
we're jumping all over the place, but there's one thing I had I wanted to talk about. I gotta remember now what it was. It'll come back to me. I think it was when you were talking about the phone or distractions or something like that. I don't know what it was. Anyway, it'll come back to me.
Was it about the fact that I don't allow people to determine when I should stop doing what I'm doing in order for them
No,
to help me?
no,
No. Okay.
no. That was. I mean, that's a great topic. We talked about
Yeah, no,
distractions and all that before, and how how we protect our time. But it wasn't that. Anyway, it'll come back to me. Let's move
Joey,
on.
when you think about this topic of technology interrupting the human connection, the human element, how do you see it? What do you see about it that's disturbing the heart-centered flow with humans?
It's that reliance on it. It's the reliance on a lot of it is about starting the conversations because everything is, you could automate the bot, or even if you can automate messenger, that when somebody reaches out and says, hey, thank you for messaging, whatever. It's kind of like the answering machine that goes into AI. And that's where it bothers me. And I've even set them up too. And one time I couldn't even turn the dang thing off, and it was like, it was a weird message the way it was going on. Like, how do I turn this damn thing off? And I don't want that to happen. So I just see that happening a lot, where it's people are relying on, I'll call it AI, to have the conversations, to begin the conversation, to see if that conversation is worthy enough of them, of their time. To me, that is a big disturbance. To
Yeah,
me, that is like, that's a no-no in my world.
yeah.
Everybody is worth my time, at least for that. Even if it's somebody who is going to be a jerk, you know, they're worth the 30 seconds or whatever that I'm going to say, how's it going? What's happening? And I read them and I find out they're a jerk and they're gone. But everybody, to me, I look at the world as abundant, right? I look at the world from the glass is half full. And it's like, well, let me give people the time of day. And if I don't do that, um, there's probably somebody that if I did it the other way, I would screw up on the relationships that I've built and even into the future. That's the thing that I see happening now.
Another thing about that, Joey, too, is, and this is all about human connection and relationships and interaction. Years ago, I ran a Northern Italian French continental restaurant. And we had one of our waiters, I called him Squeaky Tom, because Tom squeaked no matter what. If he had too many tables, he squeaked, he complained. If he didn't have enough tables,
Right.
he'd squeak. It was always. One day I sat this couple down in his section, and their name was Breck, and he bitched and moaned and complained. And bottom line, at the end of the day, it was Breck from Breck Shampoo. And I use that because you never know who. This could be somebody that you think is a total waste of time, that maybe whatever, that ends up knowing somebody who really needs your help, or is part of an organization that needs your help, that could pass you on. Or even if you just help them to either figure out, no, it's not a fit, or it is a fit. I think we owe it to people to do that.
Yeah, that's completely true. We never know who we're speaking to or who they know or whatever that is. And I remember, I'm always looking at people who are like 1,000 times smarter than I am and who have connections all over the world. I'm not the connector dude. Like, I'm not that type of a person. I'm very to myself. I'm an introvert and all this other stuff. But I want to learn. I wanted to learn more about, well, how do I make human connections better? And it was all about, first of all, learning from Dale Carnegie was like, ask more questions, be, truly interested in somebody else, which I am most of the time. I
Yeah.
couldn't say 100% because I'd be lying, but most of the time, I'm truly, truly interested in what they're saying. And the second thing was that it was like, how do I help this person? It wasn't about me. And it was from people who are truly connected, like to major people, that I would just sit back and watch and see what they say. And uh, that was one of the biggest takeaways, was when you reach out to somebody and you want to have a conversation or you want to whatever connect to their network, the worst thing you could say to somebody, and this is probably totally off topic, but I just brought it up anyway because it's coming in my head. The worst thing you could say is, "Hey Scott, love what you're doing. Let me know how I can help you."
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's the worst thing?
Well, because you're expecting them to tell you how to help them.
Right.
It's not their job to be sitting there thinking, "Oh, I wonder how Joey can help me."
Right.
Or I wonder how I can help Joey. Joey, how can I help you? No, Joey, how about I do this? How about I do this? How about I'd love to do this. I'd love to hang out. I'd love to. I'd love to co-teach slash moderate, co-moderate slash teach Stream Client Connection with you. I would love to do that. It wasn't like, hey Joey, can I help you with anything? It's looking at how can you serve. It's a
That's right.
continuation of everything you talk about. Is if even if it's a name person, go out and do something that puts some positive energy and flow in their court.
And it comes down to what you were saying, Scott, which is you listen. I know you listen to our conversation, but that's the point of it. It's, oh, you've got this dream client connection thing coming up. It's not like, hey, dude, like, let me know how I can help you with that. No, it was a specific thing. Hey,
Yeah,
man, do you need some help on co moderating it or that? That's specific. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, right? And and it opens up the doors to so many opportunities for both of us, or just having help and all that. And that's it. All comes down to what we're saying, which is listen to the other people you're speaking to, and this goes right to the dream client or the dream prospect, and listen to them. And because you're having those one-on-one conversations and it's not a bot or anything else, you you remember those conversations. And here's another thing. Here's how I use technology to, because of the many conversations that go on now, is I will, if it's a lengthy conversation with somebody, I will take that conversation and put it into my spreadsheet, because I don't want to forget what I had the conversation.
yeah,
I don't want to forget that. So I'll use that to remember what I'm talking about, because I don't want to look like a goofball and just say, and forget what I'm talking about. But it's not all the time, but it's part of what I would do, because I want to relate back to that person, because there's so many conversations going on. And I'll admit that. And I think it's a powerful tool in the world that we're living in right now, but it's still, you're still having a connection piece of it. So it's like, if you had a conversation, or I know something about you, and we don't really chat a lot, and we chatted 6 months ago, and then you reach out and say, hey, how's that going, whatever, I may have a look at what we talked about before, just to refresh my memory,
yeah.
because as you know, my mind is the way it is, and I don't want to have all these
Right.
conversations in my head to remember, what did I talk about Scott before. So I look at that as a powerful way of me to re-engage or reconnect, or whatever word you want to use, to you as a conversation. Say, hey man, like, how's the yoga going? Like, you're still doing yoga kind of thing, right? And that brings us right back to where we were. What do you think about that, or any comments? Or
Well, I want to jump back. I want to rewind the tape a few to. I want to unpack a little bit of what we did, and not for any reason of self promotion or me. It was more of, I knew that you were about to do the Dream Client Connection. It was the first time you were doing it, and we're both passionate about that as a key. And I knew from what we do, I know being constantly every couple of weeks on a training, on a call, where you've got the chat and you've got the participants and people coming in, and you're running your slideshow and you're answering questions, and all by yourself, it becomes a lot. And I was thinking, okay, Joey, what if I, co-moderated that? I could let people in and I could see what people was comments, and if something that needed to be said, or when the questions came, they came fast and furious, and you would, if you were to read one and then start to answer it, by the time you got back to them, there were 10, 12 more conversations that you would have missed till later on, but the participants would not have had the opportunity to get more of Joey answering their questions. And that, to me, I knew I would hold the space for you in that way.
Yeah, and first of all, I really appreciate that. And you're right. Like, I never anticipated how engaging Dream Client Connection would be. It's not that the other ones were not engaging; they are, and I could pretty much handle it. But this one was really out of control in a good way. And I don't know what I would have done without you. So thank you for that. But you're right.
You're welcome. And again, it was not for accolades. It's more just, if somebody's like, well, what am I supposed to help somebody with? But you look at what they're doing and say, I could probably help you out with this thing because that's part of my superpowers. Or even just holding the space and supporting is what. And then after the first one, when we talked about, the power of, the superpower matrix, and then we're like, why don't we just do a bonus one?
Right.
And that would not have come. And that was so valuable because there's a learning thing here as well. We realized, we know that people will come into your program, they'll download all the stuff, they'll watch the video, and when it comes time to executing or implementing what needs to be done for the second training, for them to succeed, for the program to succeed, for the group to succeed, a lot of them would be like, yeah, I've already done this before. And that's why we did what we did, to reinforce such a powerful part of. And then when we hit the third one, it was like they had already gotten that piece to go to the next piece. Where a lot of people are like, yeah, I already did the avatar stuff. I don't need to worry about that. I need to get to the good stuff, where it teaches me how to use the technology to talk to people, and where do I find them, and how do I do it in automation.
How's this going to make me money?
Exactly.
Right. But it's true, because they were all engaged and they were ready to participate, which is part of this conversation. We had real human conversations within the training, and it wasn't just about sitting there writing down some notes, which nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with sitting and learning, but it was not just about learning. It was a couple of aha things. Oh, wait a second. And then, okay, what do you think about that? Let's have that conversation. And that's why I think that the tribe really loves what we're doing. And
Joey, we did not talk about, well, maybe we could do a survey or a quiz, or maybe we could do an assessment. And then after they fill that out, we could take them somewhere else and move them up into teasing them with emails for Atlas over the next 27 weeks with a sequence and this. And if they do this, then we can trigger it here. It's like, let's get these people on a call and see what they're doing and what they need help with. Thursday, we're doing another beta Q&A training for the people using the software. Why? I want to talk to human beings who are using the new software, and what are they experiencing? And we had an agreement in beta. I'll give you the beta price, but you gotta use this thing, and you gotta let me ask you questions. And exactly what you've been doing the last few weeks, Joey, is when
Yeah.
someone has success, whether it's Kay or whether it's Kimmy or whether it's Gord or Son or whoever it is, and if I didn't remember everyone, and Miriah, you go talk to them and you ask them the questions, and all this, you find out more about you. You find out more about your program, what your dream client needs, and what that dream island looks like that you're taking them to. And it goes deeper all the time. And it just goes deeper into simplicity and human relations and connection. And again, Joey, I got software products at a software company. Even still, people can access me. They can email. I'm going to respond to them. I don't
Yeah.
have a support desk, some guy saying, "Hello, my name is Bob."
Yeah.
No problem with Bob. It's just you're not Bob. Who are you?
Yeah. There's a point where when your business grows that there's the access to you it's less and less to you, which is normal because you're just growing, and you can't have those conversations. And that is such an advantage for us as solopreneurs, or whatever you want to call it, because what we have now, even though if you ask anybody, they'll say, I got no time. But that's what we have. We got
Yeah.
time on our side. How we use it is the key element. Everybody's busy, everybody's got no time, and that's because they're doing the wrong thing,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And
Well,
so if you have the only asset that you really have is time, then why don't you use that to your advantage while you can, which is having those conversations with real human beings as much as possible, so that when you grow to the point where you can't have those conversations anymore, your tribe is so big anyway that they're doing the work, they're doing the conversations for you as well, but they're saying Joey's awesome or Scott is awesome because of ABC. You know what I mean? Those conversations are happening as the incubus of what's going on to build the tribe even more. So
and
that
then
you come
Joey,
on to a stage that you've got your tribe there of 5,000 people. People are like, oh my God, I can't believe Scott is here. And you're not going to diss them. You're going to go to the back of the room and you're going to talk to
yeah,
people, but they
yeah,
can't talk to you maybe every single day.
you took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. You get to that level. And when Tony Robbins did his first radio show forever ago, just to show that he could help somebody change their beliefs and thought patterns, he was one on one with somebody on a radio show. And now arenas full of tens of thousands of people. Same thing with any rock star or music star, any person. They started out singing in the shower or maybe singing to their mom or whoever. And then you get to that point where, yes, let's do an event and have 5,000 people and Joey on stage and on the whatever the big thingies are called, the something trons, Sony trons, people way up in the back in the nosebleed seats, just to have a chance to say, I saw Joey live.
Yeah.
I don't know
But it
where we're
starts
going
with the
with that.
one-on-one conversations.
And your
And
t-shirts and hats, and maybe you could stand in line and get an autograph from Joey and have a
the
picture with
merchandise,
Joey.
yeah, right.
Then when you have to have credibility, you show a picture with Joey and they go, you got a
Yeah,
picture with Joey? Holy cow, you must be somebody.
this is what okay, this just came down to me. I just remember what I wanted to talk about. It's the technology, the sexy stuff, because I mean this was labeled sexy tech and why we don't need it. But it's the main point of this for everybody listening. If you're on the replay, by the way, let us know you're on the replay by hashtag replay. If you're on the live, hashtag live, that would be awesome. If you like what we're talking about, please give us a thumbs up or a heart or whatever it is. Let Facebook, YouTube, where else are we? LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
we're on Twitter. Let us know or let them know that we're doing an okay job. Maybe share it with your community. We'd love that. Thank you so much. Behind the tech, whatever's behind the tech matters. And if you don't understand or you don't have the right strategy, and I use strategy very lightly here, the tech doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Right? If you are this person that, we talk about the grabbers a lot, or,
Yeah.
if you're just a grabber, and you got the sexy tech going on, great. But the technology behind it is, or the strategy behind it is like, dude, I really don't care about you. Just give me your money. Go through my frickin' funnel, buy all my upsells, and see you later. Thank you very much. So the sexy tech to me matters nothing, which I've proven it with Atlas. I've proven it with WMC, proven it. Doesn't matter. And people still are buying. And people, when I tell them this thing in groups or whatever, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, your people are paying. What's the high ticket funnel look like? What funnel? What do you say on the sales call? What sales call?
Yeah.
Well, if it's over 1,000 or over 2,000, you need to get somebody on a call. No, you don't. I used to think the same way. Now, is there a point where sometimes somebody wants to get on a call with you? Yeah, maybe you do, but it's not this funnel where it's like, here's the standards. If it's over $1,500, that means you got to get onto somebody, and you need to have your objections ready to go, because here's what they're going to talk about. I just call BS on all that.
Yeah.
And the reason I call BS on it is because I did it. Like, that's what I used to try to do. And I'm like, this just does not frickin' work. Maybe I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, bro. Like, it just didn't work.
No, Joey, first of all, we're talking about heart-centered marketing made easy. That's what we talk about, heart-centered marketing. If I was making, well, I do make widgets in the form of digital assets where I want to sell many of them to many millions of people. But when it comes to building a brand for somebody, writing copy for them, helping them with their funnel, and I'm talking about the funnel of connecting to a human being. That's my, when I architect a funnel, it's about how do you make that journey for them so enjoyable, so simple, so easy. And even in writing emails, yeah, it's not, well, here's the standard, we've talked about this, 10 emails that you have to have. There's the 7 you send out on the last day, and then there's the one every 24.2 hours. And you say, instead of, okay, how those people that didn't take the next step, how do I continue to help them and give them value? That maybe one day they'll make a decision to take the next step because I've already helped them. Again, people come into the group and they get help and they get support and they get answers, and they start to see a light that maybe this is the direction. And now when people join and they're welcomed, it's by all these people, and they're like, I got into this heart-centered place that truly is a heart-centered place. Joey, I have never in my life, I don't post what I eat or what I do. I talk about yoga, I talk about marketing. I've never talked about my personal life, my heart, my soul. And you created a place of heart-centeredness that I was able to share one of the most difficult, painful moments in my life last week with a group of people that I needed to share my heart and my pain and my grief, because I knew other people had that same pain and grief, and I needed love.
Thank you.
Where else do you go into a Facebook group that somebody's made it a safe haven to be able to do that? I've never seen anything and that's the foundation of what you do in everything you do.
Thank you.
There wasn't a bot that I could go into the group and say, how are you feeling today, Scott? I'm feeling sad. Beep. Scott is feeling sad today. Is anybody else feeling? No.
Yeah, but and yeah, that makes my heart sing listening to this, because it was never the intent was never. I don't know if it never was to be that, but I can't honestly say that was the, again, strategy. I'm using that as a loose term, and it just happened organically because we just gave a crap about people, right? We just, I care about, there's only 3 of us in the group. I care about these 2 people. Now there's 4. I care about everybody. And then it just grew. And then those people cared about themselves, like the others in the group. And it was just, it's something that's growing over time, and it's great to see. And you're right. Like, you're not the only one who goes in there who needs some love and support sometimes on a personal issue or whatever that looks like. And to have that safe place, I call this place, the tribe and the club, but I truly believe and I don't know how you feel about this. I've never talked to you about this before and to anybody about this, but I truly believe that we are misfits.
Mhm.
We are magical misfits in
Mhm.
our group. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree, Joey.
We
We are.
are people who are not normal in a good way.
No.
We are contrarian to some degree. We don't fit the model. And the more I see the people in there, I know I'm totally a misfit, but I'm
Mhm.
not broken. I'm just like
No.
I'm just don't follow a lot of the normal stuff, and there's magic in there. And I think that everybody
Oh, yeah.
in there has magic to them as the misfit.
You know, Joey, that I do a life purpose call on Mondays and have been for almost 60 weeks. And we do something called magic moments. Before we get into the purpose tasks and the life purpose tasks, we talk about magic moments. And I put in the magic moment of the loss of my friend. And my co life purpose said, how do you consider that a magic moment? I said, because it gave me the opportunity and ability to reach out to people all over the world and
Yeah.
share love and be part of a community that hugs and loves and heals and supports. And that to me is magic, not the fact that I lost a dear friend, but the fact that I could safely go into a digital relationship world that we are in as magical misfits and get comments from so many people and constant love and hugs and support from everybody in here.
Yep.
There was no tactic here.
No.
It was just I was feeling that, and we've become connected with all. You know that in our group, they're our family. They've always been referred to as our family.
That's right.
You don't want to be part of the family, that's okay. You don't need to be part of the family. They come to trust us, to know us, to love us, to reach out to us. And thank you, Collie, and thank you, everyone, for your kind words, your support. And I love you too. It's magic unicorns, that's for certain. We are magical misfits, totally fit, misfits who don't fit into cookie cutters.
Yeah.
What we're
And
doing, like Joey, bringing it full circle around to sexy technology. We're not doing sexy technology to get the pixels and the follow up and the automated stuff. We're creating the human connection through
well,
everything.
it's the point of if it was just about technology that going to the strategy behind it. Again, strategy is a loose word, but it's if that's not where if we're not about the human connection and the relationships, then it doesn't matter about the technology. So our
No,
technology is whatever the Facebook group or what's the funnel look like to get into the Facebook group and all that. Well, that could technically be, well, this is a funnel or however you want to look at it, but it's when you get to the place where the strategy is what's in place to bond you to become the magical misfits, or to for you to identify as a misfit as well and say I belong here, because
yeah,
there's not a lot of people out there who identify with how quote unquote different I am in a magical way, right? That I have been called out, or I don't fit into there, I don't agree with that, or and this is my home. And it's all about that. It's not about, okay, dude, you cut into my Facebook group. How do I sell you something now? Right. It's about it. Do you join? Do you belong in this community where we could serve and help you? And if whenever you're ready to join us on the journey that we're all taking, or some of us are taking here, you can join us at any point. But you don't have to do that. You can still sit in here and just enjoy the party, right?
there you go. Enjoy the
So
party, enjoy the club, enjoy Uncle Joey.
for sure, man. Uh Angel, I create immensely deep human connections in a group like this one, so it's possible to replicate this experience. That is so awesome. Love
Exactly.
that.
Your Angel's a master at it.
Love that.
Angel
Love that.
calls it omnipresence, what she does out there.
Yeah. We should all strive to create an amazing groups like this one. Thank you, Angel,
Thank you,
for
Angel.
saying
Yeah,
that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Joey, you and I were chatting about that a little before the call, how and I want to share this too with the group, and you've talked about it before, and you said it earlier, when the group began, it was you and I talking to each other, and then Monica, and then another one, and another one, and then there were two, and then there were three, and then there's many. And that's how you build anything, is one at a time, and then the one at a time go out to the more. It's like network marketing, in a way, because now people say, hey, you got to go into Joey's group, you got to get into Atlas, you got to get into DCC, WMC. Yeah.
Well, we said it last week on Dream Client, or the week before, where it was, I think it was a quote from Dan Sullivan where he said, you got to impact like one person, like make sure you reach out, have conversations, real relationship with one person, and make sure you impact that person to the nth degree.
Mm-hmm.
That person will go out and tell another person. And to me, that was the shift for me. That was, forget about all of the fancy technology and how to bring people in and eliminating, if I get 100 people, I'll at least get one or two of them. No, I want to focus on the one or two of them first. Let me reverse this and not worry about the 98. I'll just try to find the one or two and just have conversation with those two. You know, it was like a reverse mindset. And that's exactly how it grew, because it was not about how do I, now that I'm having this conversation with you, how do I sell you? It was learning, like all the stuff we've been talking about today, going back to Dale Carnegie and like, let me learn about you. What is the thing that you need and all this stuff. And it grew the tribe, and it still grows. The tribe still grows. I mean, I even got a request to come into the group today, or no, it wasn't even a request for the group. It was a friend request. And the person, I again started conversations all the time. How's it going? Like, what's happening? And this person said, someone told me that I need to follow you. And that's proving it. That's going, okay, like, that's awesome. You know, and I learned who the person was and all that. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, did you know that I've got this other thing over here? Maybe it's good for you. And this person that said, yeah, I'd love to join that.
How long did that take? How much time did you invest?
That literally took less than 5 minutes.
Right, exactly.
It took less than 5 minutes.
To doing things that have absolutely no forward momentum and progress. Spending a lot. What if you spent 5 minutes 5 times a day with 5 different people just doing something like that, and forget about 30 minutes of whatever, checking your things that are not going to advance your purpose to help and serve. Which is,
you know, the point there too, Scott, to, you know, anybody listening to this, is that yes, this conversation took about 5 minutes for, let's unpack it and look at just the I don't know, the funnel of it, like getting somebody from nothing to into the group. Okay, like let's look at it from that context for a second. It took only 5 minutes. That doesn't happen every day. What I'm saying here is going back to exactly what we talked about today, which is being present in the conversation and knowing the point where you can invite somebody with, right? And because if that would have been a bot, it would have been like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then they answer and they're like, hey, did you know I got this other thing? Like, it's so, maybe that wasn't the right point to say that thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Even though I might have the invite as I've written it out and I just want to copy it and put it in, right? So I don't have to keep writing the same thing. It's at the point, when am I going to do that? That's what I'm trying to say. That's where I utilize technology, because you know what? I have a pretty good invite thingy that explains what I'm doing, so I don't have to keep on explaining it again and again and again. So that's where I'll use it. But it's at the point. So in this context, it was within 2-3 minutes, because of where that conversation was already going and where the person came from, because they were referred and all this other stuff. You would never know that if it was an AI bot.
Right.
That is the point about what we're talking about here. So the sexy tech doesn't mean anything. It's the person behind it and the strategy behind it that made this one thing work. If you want to use this as an example.
Again, we've talked about sexy tech and websites and all the things that they're building into things flying and swirling and jumping and moving, and that when you now have a Google document that people read to get what they need to help them change their lives. And it's an interesting discussion, Joey.
Thank you for being a part of it. As always, Tuesdays I look forward to them every single day. I know you've had a little rough week, but you know what? It proves that you're here to serve, and I appreciate that. I'm grateful for you, and all love and support for whatever it is that you need always. And you know that that's part of what we do. It's part of what the group is. And yeah, thank you.
Part of our magical unicorn misfitness.
Magical misfits, buddy.
Magical misfits.
That's who we are.
Awesome.
Cheers, my friend. And thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for being here on the live. And if you're watching on the replay, please let us know. #replay. Forget the live because we're ending now at #replay. Let us know that you're here, and we'll see you again next Tuesday.